A goal, Chris Billy, Huddersfield Town. The most famous goal of Chris Billy's life.
Is this the moment for Lee Fowler? It is. Take your place in Division 2, Huddersfield Town.
Ruby and Steve Simonson's boots now. He's missed. Steve Simonson clears the frame of the goal and collapses in a heap of tears. Huddersfield Town are promoted.
Mustafa Schindler has a chance to write his name in Huddersfield Town legend. And he takes that chance!
Hello and welcome to The Drive-In from Andy Takes That Chance, your perfect companion for your drive over to Chav Vegas this weekend. Get your coppers at the ready. It's Blackpool away in August, a fixture that always evokes a memory of the opening day of the 1994 season when Town romped to a 4-1 victory with goals from Rocket Ronnie Jepson and Paul Reed. So, get your sun cream on, your bucket and spade, and pack some sanitizer because we're going to Blackpool. Killer, in 1602, the town of Blackpool was given its name on account of a dark stream that flowed through the peatlands, draining Martin Mere and Martin Moss into the sea. Fast forward 399 years to September 2021 for Town's last win in Chav Vegas, 3-0 with goals from Karoma, Hogg and Matt. 14-minute spell. Blackpool lead the head-to-head with 36 wins to Town's 33. And last time out at Blackpool, Huddersfield drew 2-2 when it was the beginning of the downfall. Town back then were the form team in League One, sporting two shiny new strikers. They went to the seaside and found themselves 2 down in the first half, with Town keeper Jacob Chapman having a bit of a tough time of it. And then after half-time, Town came roaring back. Joe Taylor, say his name and he appears, scored on his debut, and Brodie Spencer equalised with a deflected shot from outside the box in a game that could still have gone either way as Town pulled level. So what of Blackpool now? I spoke to Tom Johnson from the Up the Mighty Pool podcast, and we had a little discussion on how things are going for the Tangerines. Hi Tom, thanks for joining us back on the Andy Takes That Chance podcast. Blackpool, one of the favourites for the top 6 at the start of this season, but have lost the first 2. Is it just a speed bump, or do you think there are some issues to solve?
Yeah, it's been a really disappointing start, not just with the results, but also the performances that came with it. In particular, a couple of the debutants that we obviously have signed over the summer and have really not started the best. A couple of the new centre-halves who we've given big contracts to, and also the goalkeeper who's on loan from Birmingham for the season as well, who Steve Bruce was talked really highly about and has played at some good clubs at a good level. So to ship 7 goals in the first 2 games, I think it was 5 goals, the first game in the first 20 minutes of the second game. So that we were dead and buried before the 25-minute mark on Saturday. So I think it's really clear signs of making too many changes at once to expect to have a good start. So I'm just hoping that we start seeing improvement over time. If you look at last season, Steve Bruce came in and he did have a good start, and then it faltered a little bit after the game where we played at Huddersfield, which was one of the higher points of the season, and we did finish in a decent, strong form. So if that's anything to go by, then we should get better as the season goes along. And it's certainly a speed bump, but only that, hopefully.
So Blackpool went out and did some really good work in the summer. Who's impressed you the most, and what do you think the aim is for this season?
I think it's hard to say anyone's impressed so far, to be brutally honest, with the disappointing games we've had. But I would say in the first game, which I saw more of, that Jordan Brown looked a really good acquisition in the centre of the park, who's come in from Leyton Orient. Obviously got to the playoff final last season and has done really well for them over the last few years. He's been coached by Richie Wellens, who had a great career with Blackpool back in the noughties as well. So hopefully he's cut from the same cloth. I think he looks good on the ball and out of the ball as well in terms of tackling and recycling play. So I'm excited to see him. There's a few we haven't seen yet as well who look like really good signings. So whilst it's early in the season, I'm confident we've signed a good few players. And in terms of aims for the season, I would expect nothing less than being in the top 6 contention. I would certainly like to think we'll make the top 6 after 2 seasons of, whilst missing out, quite poorly missing out as well, and never really being in the mix for it either time. So I think to be in the mix is a step forward, but to actually go in and get in that top 6 is the minimum aim for us. I've never known Blackpool compete for automatics, so I'm not expecting that to change. That would feel unnatural, but yeah, we're the playoff kings, so hopefully if we can get in there, then we'll go and do the business.
So myself and others are all heading over to Blackpool this Saturday. Have you got any recommendations of where we should park for the day and things that we could get up to?
Parking wise, tricky to say. There is some decent parking around the ground if you can get there up to an hour before. If you park probably on the same side as the away stand, really, sort of behind there, a couple of streets back, you can probably get some decent parking spots. And if you're up for a walk, there's generally decent parking spots within 10-15 minutes walk from the ground. So I'd say just to have a drive about and find some on-street parking. In terms of things to do, it's Blackpool, isn't it? So there's plenty to do. You could fill a week there if you wanted to. Get yourself to the Tower or the Winter Gardens, have a mooch around, and there's plenty of good pubs to go in. I know that the Castle and the Manchester are very commonly known away end bars, but there's a whole town to go out as well. So if you do fancy a few drinks after the game, then I'm sure you've got plenty to find as well.
Finally, mate, how do you see the game going and what's your score prediction?
I think it'll be a draw. I'm going to go for a 1-1, and I think Niall Ennis is going to bag for us. It's tricky to see who's going to be the starting front two because he's gone with Ennis and Fletcher the first few games, but obviously Dale Taylor is now registered, who was our record signing earlier in the window. So there's only 2 who can get in, and it's about who's going to make the best partnership there. But yeah, based on what we've seen so far, I think Niall Ennis looks really sharp, and I'll expect him to get a goal, and we'll take a draw at this point.
Straight into the tactics board, Killer. Seamless. So thanks to Tom from the Up the Mighty Pool podcast for his thoughts on the game this weekend. Killer, let's now time to hear from you. So talk us through Blackpool and your summation of where they are. So me, you, Dave Hartrick and Phil Senior all sat there pre-season and thought, do you know what, Blackpool are going to be really good. And Dave Hartrick said, and I quote, Blackpool will not be giving anyone a head start this season. That's twice I've called him out for that, haven't I? Blackpool won't lose every game from now to the end of the season. They're going to turn this back around at some point, aren't they? So just tell us what you've seen of Blackpool. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'm sorry, but my tactics board does not have a team in orange, so Blackpool have to go in this horrible yellow and black combination, and Town will be in the blue. Killer, just tell us about Blackpool and what you've seen, and Fraser Horsfall as well. It won't be playing Willie because he's picked up an injury.
Matt, do you know what? We could sit here for about 4 hours and talk about Blackpool. They've gone into each game so differently. Obviously, last year, they finished above us in the table, which until doing this preparation for the driving, Matt, I kind of forgot. I know they had a spell at the end where they were okay, but to finish ahead of us last year, I suppose it wasn't too difficult, but still, I did find that quite surprising. Pre-season for Blackpool went actually pretty well, Matt. I think they were undefeated, and it does show you've done it where pre-season results don't matter. It's pre-season performances that do. And whilst they did win, it wasn't necessarily great, having gone through the highlights and the forums and read as much as I can about it. Steve Bruce is a pragmatic manager. We know this. He doesn't really have a set belief in system or style. It's more about getting positive results. And as of now, they've not really done too well. But the games that they've played so far, the Stevenage game, the first game of the season, they went ahead early doors, and you're thinking with the new expectations, like you say, Matt, they've spent quite a bit of money this year. Obviously, they brought in Horsfall, who was supposed to be their stud centre-back, but in the first game against Stevenage, he gifted a goal away and just looked all round awful. Turns out he was injured, and the belief is he was injured prior to that game, and you can really see going through it that he was struggling somewhat. But the keeper in Peacock Farrell is, at this point, the worst goalkeeper in the division this year. Not just for the goals he's conceded, but how his all-round play has been awful. His body language looks awful. And from there on out, Matt, their entire team, Blackpool, look poor because of it. I think with Goodman in our goal, you can see how everyone else is kind of confident a little bit with him. And when we've had poor keepers before, sometimes that feeling emanates out from the back to the front of the team, which I know sounds a bit excessive somewhat, but when you see Peacock Farrell, and if you go back through the games against Stevenage and Exeter, you'll see it because Blackpool in those games weren't out of it. They weren't outplayed in total. They just had moments where the defence switched off through Horsfall or Peacock Farrell gifting goals away. They're not that bad, but they're not very settled. They've not got one system that they're building into. They're a bit of a wounded beast somewhat, I think, where you're looking where they're at the table and you're thinking, oh, this is an easy day out for Town. If you're wanting to do anything at the top of the table at the end of the season, you have to go here and win, considering that they've lost 3 out of 3 games so far, including the League Cup game against Port Vale in midweek. But that's not what this Blackpool team is. Never mind, it's managed by Steve Bruce. In the games, they've not actually been too far away from it. There's individual errors and systemic issues that have caused this. They aren't as bad as it seems.
So the Blackpool team, so as you've mentioned, Bailey Peacock Farrell, who is a goalkeeper I've always thought is terrible, in all honesty. I've never rated him one bit, and I think it was that period where Leeds United, whenever they threw a youngster in the team, they seemed to the Hounds seemed to come and offer millions for them, whether they were good or not, and he was one of the ones that got sort of picked up. I'm not a fan, but having said that, touch wood, etc., because he's going to have a blinder against us now. I've slagged him off, so he'll play in goal, no doubt. We think they may revert to the back 3, so we believe they'll play 2 strikers, which Niall Ennis will be one of them. The other one will either be Dale Taylor or Ashley Fletcher. So people will remember Ashley Fletcher, big lad from Keighley, isn't he? But he was the one who missed from under the crossbar for Middlesbrough when Ryan Schofield made a really good save on, it was one of the early games, whether it wasn't quite, I don't know if it was his debut or not, but there was a really shocking miss, and that was Ashley Fletcher. So he's due one against us as well now I've said that as well. So it'll either be him or Dale Taylor. So it's either 3 or 4 at the back. So it'll either be a 4-4-2 or a 3-5-2. I think it just depends on what personnel's available. So Albie Morgan, who's quite key for them, is close to returning as well. So don't be surprised to see him on the bench or throwing in at some point, because he's quite a key player for Blackpool, decent as well. So Fraser Horsfall, as we mentioned, is injured. He signed a 4-year deal with Blackpool at the start of the summer, as did Michael Ihikwe, who will probably be in the middle of their back 3. With him will be Casey, the other centre-back, who's pretty decent as well. So Casey, Ihikwe and Fraser Horsfall's a decent back 3, isn't it, when it's at full tilt? They're just lacking one. So who will probably come in at this point is likely going to be Coulson, who tends to play the left back, but he can play left-sided centre-back as well. So maybe he'll wrap around. And then in midfield, which is where Blackpool will try and look to dominate the ball, they'll have Andy Lyons at right back. He's scored against us before, hasn't he, in Mark Fotheringham's final throws. In midfield, they've got George Honeyman. I thought he was a great signing for them at this level. He's a really good player, is George Honeyman, and he scored the early goal, didn't he, against Stevenage, and then went off at half-time, I think, with a slight knock. He should be back with, as Tom mentioned, Jordan Brown, the player that's come from Leyton Orient, defensive midfielder, and in there will be Lee Evans as well, who played last year and absolutely ran the middle of the park, didn't he, when Blackpool came to Huddersfield last year and looked like the best team we played all season. So those 3 will be in midfield, and that's a decent trio in midfield as well. So Blackpool have got strength through the middle. It's maybe out wide where maybe not so much, and it's likely to be Lyons maybe as a right wing back. He's better as a right back, an orthodox right back, I think. So again, they could potentially play a 4, couldn't they? Lyons could drop into right back, and then Ihikwe and Casey will play centre back, and Coulson could play left back. And it could be one of those hybrid formations where there could be a back 4 in possession or out of possession, and a back 3 in or out as well. So it could potentially change for them, or be very similar to the way we play, where we have one fullback who tucks around and then the other one goes flying forward. So there's plenty of options for Blackpool. Like we said up front with the 2, Ennis is the rather pacey striker, and they'll look to try and get him behind. And Steve Bruce is, like you say, a little bit old school sometimes. So Fletcher, if he plays up front, will be looking to win the ball in the air and nod it on for him. You would imagine if it's Fletcher and Ennis, then Jack Watmore will play, and he'd be the one who will try and take Fletcher. The pace of Ennis could be a worry with Town at the back. So I think what you will probably get is Joe Lowe at centre-back. I've not had a chance to look at Towns or read Towns' details on who's injured and who's not, or just a bit of a digest that came out. Sean Rowan, I think, will play left-back killer. He will then wrap around, and he will be the one then to maybe be the spare man and look to pick up any runs from Ennis in behind. Gooch, I think, will play right wing back. I think he'll play over Sorensen. People might think because he played in midweek again, or he played yesterday against Leicester, that maybe Sorensen will start. But I think Gooch will get the nod, as will Ledson and Herbie Kane in the middle. I can't see anything else but them at the moment. We've been told Marcus McGuane's had a slight groin niggle, haven't we? So that's why he's not been playing so far, and he's not up to speed fitness-wise. Ben Wiles has got to play 10, hasn't he, at the moment? I think he still starts. I don't really see Castledine coming to start for him just yet, despite a promising showing against Leicester. But it's up front and wide where it's interesting, Killer. I want to see Alfie May back up front. I don't want to see him wide right. I mean, he's okay wide right, but I prefer to see him through the middle, which is where he does his best work and he links better than the other strikers that we have. Ruskin will probably play. He's the only left winger we've got with Mikel Miller out at the moment. Cameron Ashe has come in and done very well, hasn't he, in these last 2 games? But I don't think you can expect too much too soon. Some people say let him off the leash and play him, but I think I wouldn't expect too much too soon from him as well there. So I think he will maybe come off the bench at some point, and Ruskin will play on the left. And I think Marcus Harness will be back, and I think he will start in that role. I think they didn't want to take any risk on him last week and midweek. So I think he's probably been wrapped up, hopefully, for this game. So I think it'll be Goodman in goal, Gooch at right back, Lowe, Watmo, and Rowan at the back, Ledson, Kane, Wiles, Ruskin, Alfie May, and Marcus Harness is the team that I think will go for Killer. Any advances on that from you?
No, I think that's absolutely the strongest team we could actually put out, even if everybody was fit. I think Ruskin was really good against Leicester the other night. I thought he's improving somewhat. Still not an out-and-out winger, but his defensive work in that final third is really, really good. It's the same starting lineup, isn't it, than what we put out against... It's the same starting lineup we put out against Orient, apart from Miller and Ruskin swapping, I think. I was really impressed with Rowan again against Leicester. I honestly think Sean Rowan will end this season as player of the year, unless somebody scores an excessive amount of goals. Rowan even tucked into centre-back at some point in that game, Matt, and looked every bit the Swiss Army knife that we need from that guy on that left-hand side to wrap around to cover Gooch going higher up on the right. And I'm with you, Matt. Gooch has to start. I thought he were good against Tricky Monga the other day. Looked like, yeah, but he warmed into that role somewhat and got better as the game went on. As you expect from an experienced pro. The only thing we've got to look at here is there might be a change up top actually for Blackpool. Matt, Tom Bloxham is back in full training, and he played a little bit the other night. I think they brought him in from Shrewsbury last year. I can't remember if it was Shrewsbury. I believe it was. But Blackpool have conceded in the game against Exeter 4 goals from set pieces. 2 were from throw-ins, 1 from a corner, 1 from a free kick. And now if we're chucking in there Joe Lowe and Watmore that have to start at centre-back just for that reason alone, in that these are weak at set pieces, and we're pretty good at set pieces, it turns out, once again, after ending last season terribly at attacking set pieces. But I think Blackpool and Steve Bruce are going to try and find a little bit of height straight down that middle if they can to try and counter that from us, Matt. But the most important thing in our lineup is, as you've said, Alfie May playing as the 9. He's tried out a little bit on the right-hand side, and really it's not clicked for me. I think it's not where we want Alfie May to play. Not that he won't at certain times in this season. I'm sure he will, because he can do that defensive work that you need at times from a winger. He's good enough at that, but you're still then taking away his goal-scoring prowess because he only had 1 shot, in 90 minutes last week against Reading, against Blackpool, where it's going to be fewer opportunities, I think, than Reading. Because against Reading, again, they're a team early in transitioning from last season's team to this one, where they're trying to play nice attacking football the way they want to play. Steve Bruce won't do that with Blackpool. Steve Bruce will have Blackpool set up to try and get something out of the game against us, because that's what old school dinosaur kind of managers do. It's going to be different for Town this week. I'm really looking forward to it, Matt, for that reason alone, in that I do think the first 3 games we've had, all the three teams we've faced have come to play their own way without worrying too much about how Town play. Blackpool won't be that, and we're really going to have to be on it this weekend because Steve Bruce will set them up to try and hurt us where they can.
So prediction-wise, what do you fancy going for this weekend? Because I'm, do you know what? Football doesn't follow logic, and when you say Town have won all 3 games, Blackpool have lost all 3, then logic states Huddersfield Town will beat Blackpool, but football doesn't do that, does it? And streaks get broken. Let's not go there where you're going with that one, but there's a Brock Lesnar moment here, isn't there? Where the streak, this streak will go for Huddersfield at some point. Will it be Blackpool? Will it be later on down the line? I don't know, but I just look at it and think Blackpool can't be this bad again for too many times because of how good the players that they have there, the expectation level and everything. I just think maybe Blackpool have had a tricky start, but I don't see them being like this forever, and it will turn one weekend, and it's just whether that's going to be this weekend or the one after or the one after that. I still think Blackpool will be top 6 material at the end of the season. It's just when that turn happens, and hopefully it's not going to be this weekend for us, but it could be, Killer.
It could be, Matt. It's a tough one to call this one, but the issue I think Blackpool might have here is if Town start fast, and we do start fast, we've started fast, not in scoring, but just in the way the game flows, there's going to be a sellout stand for Town fans. We're going to be loud and rock, like we're going to be at it. And I think the Blackpool fans will be on the Blackpool team's back if it doesn't start too well. So I actually have Town winning this one, Matt. I think we will concede. I think Ennis is a really, really handy striker, and you can't. It's very rare you go 3 league games without conceding. So I reckon 2-1 Town, Matt, for me in this one. But 2-1 Town, but I think it'll be a scrap where it'll be a bit of Alfie May genius that'll win this one. So I'll go with a goal from a set piece for Joe Lowe as the first goal, and then Alfie May with a second goal in a 2-1 Town win.
I've got Town 2-1 as well, but I'm not comfortable with that at all. I was going to go 1-1 all week until now, and you get to this stage, and you kind of like Thursday when we record this, you get more not confident, but you just get, as the week goes on, you get more excited by the game, and you start looking forward to it more, and you talk yourself into how we're going to win the game by the end of the week. And by 2 minutes to kick off, you're gonna smash whoever you're playing, and then 5 minutes later you've sat down sulking. But I've gone 1-1 all week, thinking Blackpool can't keep losing, and then I've got to Thursday, and I'm now sort of on the Town. I'm edging towards Town winning. Asked me yesterday, I'd say 1-1. Asked me today, I'm saying 2-1. I've got Alfie May and Joe Taylor goals down. I think Alfie. I think a lot of this one depends on who scores first. I think if Blackpool score first, I think everything will change for them. And I think they'll be very hard to beat if they get in front. If Town get in front, I think Blackpool will struggle a lot more because mentally they're not quite there yet, are they? As a squad and as a team. So I think if Town get in front, Town are there at the minute. I think Town will be very difficult to turn around if we get ahead in this game. But if Blackpool get ahead, it's going to be interesting because I think they might have something else to cling on to. I know they went 1-0 up against Stevenage on the first game of the season, didn't they? But I can just sort of see the wheels sort of turning and the cogs turning. So first goal's key, but I'm going to go with Town 2-1 on this one, Killer. Also, Killer, this weekend, it's the first game for Huddersfield Town women. They're playing Doncaster Bells. So I've had a little bit of a pre-season chat with Beth Stanfield, who we continue to sponsor with this podcast. So I had a quick chat with Beth about the expectations from this season, and it's good to see that Town are integrating them into the full setup, if you like. So that was the first question that I put to Beth.
Hi, Beth. So over the summer, we saw the news that Huddersfield Town was to integrate the women's team into the club structure. So what difference has this made in the build-up to this season?
Yeah, I think the main one that we can tangibly see as players is that we've been able to add an extra training night, so we can train 3 times instead of twice, which will hopefully help us in the long run. And then I think otherwise, it's obviously the stuff on social media, promoting the season cards, promoting our fixtures. Our kind of media output looks the same, so the design, all that kind of stuff is more aligned. Obviously, getting some of our players involved in the kit photo shoots was really good, and then announcing the signings and stuff. So, yeah, I think it's good. It's a good start, and obviously there have been changes, which is good to see that that's been implemented. But I think this is obviously a long-term project, so hopefully we'll be able to build on these things and keep adding to the partnership, I guess, as we go on.
There's been some welcome returns to the club this summer, so Laura Elford and Beth Davies to name but two. Tell us about the new signings and the signings the club have made and what difference they should make to the season going forward.
Yeah, it's good to have them back. Obviously, they're both very good players. Have played at a higher level, and probably should be playing at a higher level if we're being honest. But I think they'll bring that that kind of attitude and application of being at a more professional setup, and bring it back here to Huddersfield. So yeah, I think just they're such important positions as well, like goalkeeper and a striker. So I think to get them in it fills me with positivity anyway. So yeah, I think it's really good. And other signings that we brought in again are just quality players, but also good people. They really buy into our style of play, how we play, and yeah, they've all settled in well. I won't reveal any names in case it's not announced yet, but yeah, I think we've added some really good players, which will hopefully help us kick on this season.
So you've won every match in pre-season heading into the season opener against Doncaster Bells this weekend. Just tell us what exactly pre-season entails for the group, and how does it compare with, say, what the men's team would do?
Yeah, we've had a good pre-season. Had some good results against a range of different teams, really, who kind of set up against us differently. So, yeah, it's been good. I mean, obviously the main thing will be we don't get to go on a nice training camp abroad, but, well, not yet anyway, so maybe give it a few years, you never know. Yeah, that's probably the main thing. Otherwise, it's pretty standard. You come back in, do some testing, see where you're at, and then just a case of, yeah, getting fit again and getting that match sharpness back. So with fitness-wise, we tend to make it quite football specific, and it's usually, I'd say 95% of our fitness stuff involves a ball, which obviously makes it a bit more enjoyable for everyone. And then a case of just getting all the new players integrated, seeing each other again, building that team togetherness back up again after a break. And yeah, just getting on the ball, just getting minutes in the legs, building up to the start of the season. So yeah, pretty standard.
So looking forward to the season, what's the aim for the 25-26 season? Is it to win the league and return to the Northern Premier Division again?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, we set ourselves that target last season and unfortunately didn't get there. But I think with the signings that we've made, and kind of the integration into the main club and the men's setup, that's definitely the ambition. We just want to win games and get promoted back to Tier 3. So yeah, that's definitely the main aim. And then obviously beyond that, there'll be trying to progress in the FA Cup, maybe to a further round, see what we can do in the League Cup, hopefully get the County Cup title back again as well. So yeah, obviously we want to aim high and aim for success, and hopefully we'll be able to do that this year.
So the Lionesses were fantastic again this summer. What positive impact have you noticed from the last two European Championship wins? Have you noticed anything more intakes into the academy and more girls playing football?
Yeah, I think generally just more girls are playing football. Obviously they, on the back of the last year, as they had the meeting with the government to get football into PE and get girls more access to PE in schools. So they've had a real big impact, not just on football, but on kind of sport and this country as a whole. So yeah, it's great. I'm not sure of like the numbers of our academy, but yeah, I'm certain they'll have got more girls down to trials and open trainings and things like that. So yeah, I'm sure we'll see that continue to grow over the next few years. Also, the funding into the game obviously has been great from our point of view as well. We've seen an impact on that at Huddersfield. Obviously, it's not all good though. Like, there is still more work to be done. We've seen like Blackburn and Barnsley have had to withdraw from their leagues, so because of funding issues. So it's not. There is still work to be done, like I said, and hopefully in like a few years' time, we won't ever have to say, "Oh, X team have had to withdraw because of funding issues," and hopefully the game will have grown and the funding will have come further down the leagues and increased the quality further down as well. So, yeah, they've been brilliant. It was great to watch, and great to like witness them winning the Euros back to back. So, yeah.
There we go. So thanks to Beth for that. So Town Women, you can buy a season card for 50 quid for adults, 40 quid concessions, 30 for under 21s, under 16s are free. If you've got a Town season card, you can get 50% off that. So it's pretty good. You can get so if you're a bloke like me and Killy, you can get a season card for 25 quid, which lets you into all 11 games down there. And do you know what? You can just buy one anyway because it helps support the club and get them moving anyway. So good luck to them this season. And good luck to Town at home. Away at Blackpool. If you see me or Killer killing around the beach, I almost said then, milling around Blackpool beach, staring at donkeys like Cozzy did the other year, which was very disturbing. Just come and say hello, and we'll be hopefully coming back with the 3 points.
There's a team that is dear to its followers. The colours are bright blue and white. They're a team of renown, they're the pride of the town, and the game of football is their delight. And all the while upon the field of play, thousands loudly cheer them on the way. Often you can hear them say, who can beat the town today? And then the bells will ring so merrily, and every goal shall be a memory. So Town, play up and bring that cup back to Huddersfield. So Town, play up and bring the cup back to Huddersfield.